So in the previous class, we have seen conditional statements or decision-making statements, like if condition, if else, nested if else, and switch case. So today we'll discuss another type of statements, which are looping statements, or we can also call them as a iterative statements. So in every programming language, so we have these kind of statements like decision making or iteration and all the statements. So in TypeScript also, it is provided different type of looping statements like while loop, do while loop, for loop. So all kinds of loops are provided by TypeScript also. So today we'll see how we can use looping statements. First of all, we'll start with what is a loop and why we need that loop, and what are the different looping statements are provided by in TypeScript and how we can use. So we'll see different examples, and let us start. So first, let me create a new folder for today's class. Take the main folder and just create new folder. Say day 6. So under day 6, first we'll start with the while loop, and there are mainly 3 loops are provided: while loop, do while loop, and for loop. Again, in the for loop, there are multiple flavors of for loop is provided, and especially when you work with the arrays or when you work with the some collection types like tuples and all. So we use a different kind of a for loop. So different combinations or different syntaxes are there only in the for loop itself. So today we'll focus on main looping statement like while, do while, and for loop. And once we start discussing about collections and derived data types or objects, I'll discuss about another type of for loop. So go to the folder, day 6. I'm creating a new TS file. Let's start with the while loop. Let's say while loop dot TS. Okay, so first, before starting the loop, we need to understand what is a loop actually. Anybody have any idea what is a loop? What is the meaning of loop? Loop is also called as a iteration. Iteration means repetition. Repetition means set of statements or block of statements or group of statements we can repeat multiple times. We can repeat multiple times. But how many times we have to repeat? We have to specify that. That's called a condition. So based on the condition, we can repeat the same steps multiple times. That is basically called as a loop, or block of statements we can execute multiple times repetitively, which is basically called as a loop. But why we need to repeat the statements? What is the requirement? Let me show you a simple example. So just I want to print 1 to 5 numbers or 1 to 10 numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 like that. So how many statements we need to write normally? If I want to print 5 numbers, print 5 numbers. Okay, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So how many console.log messages we need to write to print just 1 to 5 numbers? At least we need to write 5 statements, right? Console.log of 1, console.log.2, console.log of 3, like this. Similarly, if you want to keep increasing the numbers, similarly we need to also increase the console.log statements. Multiple statements we need to write. So instead of writing multiple statements, we can just write only one single statement and repeat 5 times. Let's say console.log of 1. Similarly, I need to write a 5 different statement like this. And first time I just print 1, second time 2, third 3, 4, and then 5. So 5 statements are required normally, right? So instead of writing 5 statements, I'll just write only one statement. I'll repeat 5 times, and each time I will try to increase the value. Each time I'll increase the value by 1. So first iteration, it becomes 1, second iteration becomes 2, third iteration becomes 3, 4, and 5. Whenever it reaches 5, I just stop executing the same statement. So that is the main advantage of looping statement. So instead of writing multiple statements, we can simply write one single statement and we can repeat multiple times. N number of times we can repeat depends on the condition we specified. Okay, so that is the main advantage of looping statement. So now let us start with the while loop, how we can work with the while loop and how exactly it will work. So a while loop executes as long as the condition is true. So we need to specify the condition. So what is the syntax of while loop? So if you look at the syntax, how we can use, there are 3 important things which we need to specify in the while loop. And first one, we need to start with a certain point of value. Let's say starting point. and how much we need to increase in every time, and where we need to stop. So there are three important things we need to understand. So let me explain what exactly they are. So we need to understand these three. For every loop, we need to know these three things. So as I said, for example, let's say 1 to 5 numbers we need to print. Let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So if you want to write a looping statement, if you want to print 1 to 5 numbers, and where we need to start. So we need to know that. So this is a starting point, which is called as initialization, starting point. And how much value we need to increment every time. This is also we need to. Here, according to 1 to 5 numbers, if we want to print, just we need to increase +1 every iteration. So 1 plus 1, 2, again 2 plus 1, 3, 3 plus 1, 4, 4 plus 1, 5. So in every iteration, we need to increase by 1. So this is called initialization, starting point, and how much value we need to increment in every iteration, and where we have to stop. So that we need to specify inside the condition. So there are three important parts will be there in the looping statement. Starting point, how much value we want to increment in every iteration, and where we want to stop. So we need to identify these three important things: starting point, incrementation, and then stopping point, where exactly we have to stop the loop. So let us see how we can specify them in the while loop especially. So if I look at the syntax, the while loop will be starting like this using while is a keyword. Inside the bracket, we put the condition and starting block, ending block. So whatever statements we want to repeat multiple times, we need to put those statements inside the loop or inside the block. This is the syntax of while. So while, the condition, and the statements. So how exactly it will work? So if the condition is true, the statements will be executed. If the condition is false, whenever the condition is false, then statements will not be executed. The loop will be exited. Okay, but where we need to specify the starting point. So before starting this while loop, here we need to define where exactly we have to start. For example, I want to start from 1. So we need to specify that. I can say let I, which is a number, starting point is what? 1. So that we need to specify like this. So this is called starting point or initialization. And the condition. So where we need to stop whenever the I value becomes 5, because we want to print 1 to 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. As soon as I value become 5, we need to print the 5 and then we will stop. So here we need to put the condition. And every time how much value we need to increment? 1. So that should be part of the while loop. Inside the block, we need to increment the value. Okay. So I'll show you multiple examples so that you can understand. This is simple syntax of while loop. If the condition is true, the statements will be executed. Again, it will go up, check the condition one more time, and again statements will execute. So multiple times it will repeat till the condition become false. So whenever the condition false, then the while loop will be exited. So this is must and should. We need to put certain condition. If I don't put condition, what will happen? The while loop will go to infinite. Infinitely, it will repeat all the statements. So at certain point of time, we need to break the while loop by making condition false. If the condition will not make false, then what will happen? It will automatically repeat the statements n number of times. It will not exit. We need to forcefully exit the while loop. So at certain point of time, we need to make the condition false, then only the while loop will be exited. And this is simple syntax of while loop. Okay. Now let us understand this by seeing more number of examples. So first example, let's say example 1. So just as I said before, I would just want to print 1 to 10 numbers. Print 1 to 10 numbers using while loop. So how we can write this? And what is the starting point in this example? Starting point is 1. And stopping point is what? 10. And how much value we need to increment every time? By 1. So first we need to identify them. And accordingly, we can start writing the code. So starting point is 1. So for that, we need to create a variable. We need to store the starting point in a variable. Let's create a variable. Let's I. You can put any variable name. I'm just giving only I representing an incrementation. So you can put A, B, C, X, Y, Z, whatever you want. So let I, which is a number, and the starting point is what? 1. This is called initialization. So starting point, initialization. And now we'll write the looping statement. Okay, we'll put the condition later. Now come inside the block. So what exactly we want to print every time? I value we want to print. So I'll say console dot log of I. Okay, so we printed console dot log of I. Now look at this. First, initially I value is what? 1. So we printed 1 here. And after that, we need to repeat this loop or repeat the statement multiple times. And every time when I repeat, I value should be incremented by 1. As soon as you print the I value, immediately I want to increment I value by 1. So then how we can specify the incrementation? Here I can simply say I plus plus. So what is I plus plus will do? It will increment I value by 1. So again it will go up. So now we put the initialization, printed the value, also incrementation. But where we need to put the condition, how we can put the condition. So see, initially I value becomes 1. And second time 2, 3, 4, 5 is also I want to print. Whenever I value becomes 6, then I want to break the loop or I want to stop the loop. So what could be the condition now? I less than or equal to 5. I less than or equal to 5, or you can specify just I less than 6. This is also correct. Okay, I less than or equal to 5 or I less than 6. So now look at the condition. Initially I value by 1. So now it will come here. Currently what is I value here? 1. So 1 less than or equal to 5. True or false? Here I am writing the condition. I less than or equal to 5. True or false? True. Whenever it becomes true, then it will come inside the block. Now here it will print I value. So what is the current value of I? Obviously 1. So once it is printed 1, now it will increment I value by 1. So now what is an I value here? As once it is incremented, it becomes 2. Now again it will go up. Again, after becoming 2, again it will go up. And again check the condition. Now what is the current value of I after first iteration? 2. So 2 less than or equal to 5. True or false? True again. So second iteration also it is true. Now again it will come inside. Now what is the current value of I? 2. Now after incrementation it becomes 3. Now again it will go up. 3 less than or equal to 5. True or false? True. So if it is a true, again it will come inside. Now what is the current value of I? Which is 3. Now it is got printed 3. Again incrementation. It becomes 4. Again it will go up. 4 less than or equal to 5. Again it is true. Condition is true. Now come inside. So current value of I is 4. 4 will be printed. Then again I plus plus. Now it becomes 5. Now again it will go up. 5 less than or equal to 5. True or false? 5 less than or equal to 5. True or false? It is true only. Right? So again true. Now it will again come inside and print 5. Now I plus plus. Now I value becomes 6 here. So now again it will go up. Now we can see 6 less than or equal to 5. True or false? Now it becomes false. So whenever I value becomes 6, then it becomes false. So whenever this condition becomes false, then it will stop repeating the statements. It will exit from the while loop. Okay, so at certain point of time, we need to make the condition false. Then only it will exit from the while loop. So this is how exactly while loop works. So first we need to specify the starting point. Condition is representing the ending point, where exactly we have to stop. And the statements will be executed multiple times depending on the condition we specified. So this is how exactly while loop works. Now let us go and print the value. So tsx slash tsx day 6 slash while loop dot ts. Okay, now we can see 1 to 5 is got printed. And same thing, if you don't want to specify equal to, then you can say 6 also. So when I say 6, then what happens? Whenever I value become 5, 5 less than 6 will print. But I value becomes 6, 6 less than 6 become false, then it will exit. So even if you put the 6, it will print the same way, 1 to 5. Okay, so this is how exactly the while loop works, the execution of the while loop. So we'll see some more examples. This is an example one. So let me just comment this. So three important things. First, we need to identify where we need to stop and where we need to stop and how much value we want to increment. So if you know these three things, we can use while loop. Okay, now another example. So here I just printed 1 to 5 numbers. Now I want to print 1 to 10 numbers. Between 1 to 10, I just want to print only even numbers. I just want to print only even numbers between 1 to 10. So how we can find out even numbers between 1 to 10? There are multiple ways we can do. There are multiple logics we can do in programming. We'll see that. So normally if I don't write a programming, if I ask you what are the even numbers between 1 to 10, how you will tell? 2, 4, 6, 8. These are the even numbers. Similarly, what are the odd numbers? 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. These are the odd numbers. So how you will know that? So what is a formula here is whenever a number divided by 2, which is giving 0 as a reminder, that is an even number. Okay, that we already know. That is one kind of logic. So here I'm trying to write another type of logic using looping statement. But here not only one even number, I want to print multiple even numbers between 1 to 10. Where we are starting from 1, ending point is 10. And again, if you want to get the even numbers, so how we will get the even numbers between 1 to 10? See, if I don't want to use percentile operator. So I'm just saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So these are the numbers. I want to capture only even numbers, but I'm starting from 1 itself. So if you want to get 2, how much value we need to increment here? Plus 2 we need to increment. Again, if I increment plus 2, you will get another even number. Again, if I increment plus 2, then again another even number. Again plus 2, 8. Plus 2, then 10. Right? Whenever if you start from 1, right? When I say plus 2, you will get all even numbers. Okay, suppose if you started from 2 itself, when I say increment by 2, 2 plus 2, 4 again, that is also fine. Okay, so again, if you start from 1, you will get only odd numbers. 1 plus 2, 3, you will get odd number. Again, 3 plus 2, 5, you will get odd number. So when I start from 1, when increment by 2, you will get only odd numbers. But when I start from 2, when increment by 2, 2 plus 2, 4, 4 plus 2, 6, then you will get even numbers. Okay, so let us implement this logic. So starting point will decide. So if you want to get only even numbers, let us start from 2. Or if you want to get odd numbers, we can start from 1 and incremented by 2. Incremented by 2. Even it is odd or even, we will increment it by 2. Okay, this is one type of logic. We will implement this first. And we can also use percentile operator. That is another approach I'll show you. So method 1, the first method. I want to print only even numbers between 1 to 10. So where we need to start? What's the first even number between 1 to 10? Starting. First even number is 2. Right? First even number is 2. So let's create a variable. Let's say let I number equal to, I say 2. Starting point. So now I'm writing a loop. While. Now what is it? Tell me the condition. I want to print even numbers between 1 to 10. So when we need to stop the loop? Whenever I value becomes 10, 10 also we should print. After that it should stop. So the condition is what? I less than or equal to 10. Now inside this we'll print value of I, which is actually number. After printing, how much value we need to increment every time? 2 we need to increment. So if you want increment by 2, how we can write the statement? When I say I plus plus, this will increment only by 1. But if you want increment by 2, how we can write the statement? I equal to I plus 2. And how we can write the same expression in shortcut? Instead of writing I equal to I plus 2, we have a shorthand operator, right? So how we can write it? Simply I plus equal to 2. I plus equal to 2. So this is a shortcut. Okay, so if you want increment just by 1, you can say plus plus. And if you want increment more than 1, then you can specify this. Okay, so I plus equal to 2. So now initialization, condition, and then printed the value, and after that we have incremented. So everything is done. So let us go and execute this loop and see whether it's printing only even numbers or not. So we can simply say, perfect. Now you can see 2, 2, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So these are the even numbers between 1 to 10. We have started from 2, incremented by 2 every time, and we have printed I value. Okay, so now another logic. So let us try to apply another logic. This is first method. So I have not used any percentile operator here. So now let us see how we can use percentile operator. And when I use percentile operator, so we need to use the combination of loop and conditional statement. Because we need to verify, right, if the value percentile 2 equal to 0, then only that is an even number. So we need to use a looping statement along with the conditional statement. So there is another method we have. So let us do that. So another method. So again, here we can start from 1 itself. So let I, so number 1, start from 1 itself, because we will divide every number by 2. We can start from 1. Okay, so now while even the condition is also exactly same, I less than or equal to 10. So 1 to 10 I want to get. Now if I just print only console.log of I, what this will print, and simply say I plus plus incremented by 1 only. So when I print this loop, it will just print only 1 to 10 numbers sequentially. All the numbers it's got printed. Right, it's 1 to 10. So before it print is the number, before it is printing the number, I will verify whether it is even or odd. If it is even, then only I will print. If it is not even, I don't want to print. So this is based on the condition, right? So then how we can specify this inside the condition? Before printing the I value, I want to just check it is a even or not. So we need to put one conditional statement. If this I value percentile 2, which is equal to 0, and then print this I value. This is the condition. So if I percentile 2 equal to 0, then only print I value. So for example, initially I value is what? 1. 1 percentile 2. Condition is true or false? 1 percentile 2 will not return 0. So condition false. So then immediately it will go and increment the I value. So it won't execute the statement. So this will print I value only if it is an even, only if the condition matches. So if the condition doesn't match, then what happens? It will ignore this if block and go and execute the statement I plus plus. So it will become 2 now. Condition true. And again come inside this. 2 percentile 2. 0. Condition is true. Now here it will print 2. And again it will come out, incremented I value, it becomes 3 now. Again it will go up. 3 less than or equal to 10. Condition is true. Come inside. 3 percentile 2 equal to 0. True or false? False. So false means this block will execute. It won't print 3. Now it is incremented by 1. So now it will become 4. So like this, it will repeat 1 to 10 numbers, but in every iteration, it will verify that number is even or not. If it is even, then only it will print. Otherwise, it will ignore. So this is another way we can print even numbers between 1 to 10. So let's execute and see. So you can see only even numbers. So we can use another logic like this. So same thing, we can simply change to print only odd numbers. So how we can change this logic to print only odd numbers? So another example. Print odd numbers. And again, two logics we can use to print odd numbers. So let me take the first one. Okay, so just I want to print only odd numbers. So how we can change this logic? What we need to change here? Print odd numbers between 1 to 10. So now how we can change this code? I don't want to use percentile in this. This is a first logic, first method. This is a method 1. So here just you need to change the starting point. That's it. Rest of the logic is same. So when I start from 2, every time we'll increment by 2. 2 plus 2, 4. 4 plus 2, 6. 6 plus 2, 8. Right? Suppose if we make it 1, then Again, we need to increment by 2 only. So 1 plus 2, 3. 3 is an odd number. 3 plus 2, 5 is an odd number. 5 plus 2, 7 is an odd number. 7 plus 2, 9 is an odd number. So just we need to change the initialization. Everything is same. Right? Let's execute now. It will print only odd numbers between 1 to 10. Same thing is applicable for method 2 also. So now how we can change the condition? Second method. Using condition, I want to print only odd numbers. So now you tell me how we can change this. Again, start from 1 itself. Yeah. Now tell me the change. Just I want to print only odd numbers. See, I'm repeating for each number 1, 2, 3, 4 up to 10. But before printing, I'm checking here whether it is even or not. If it is even, then I will print the I value. If it is not even, I don't want to print. If it is an odd, I don't want to print. So how we can change the condition now? Instead of equal to, simply say not equal to. Not equal to. So I percentile 2 is not equal to 0 is nothing but other than 0. Whatever reminder you will get other than 0, which is an odd number. So if it is not equal to 0, then print the I value. If it is equal to 0, then don't print, just increment the I value. So this is exactly opposite of the first method. So when I execute this, it will just print odd numbers between 1 to 10. So we can also use conditional statements with the combination of looping statements, depends upon your requirement based on the logic. Okay, so these are few examples. So now let me tell you. So here in all these loops, we have seen how we can increment the value. But sometimes we want to decrement the value also. So for example, let's say I want to print 1 to 10 numbers in descending order. I just want to print 1 to 10 numbers in descending order. Example 4. Print numbers 10 to 1 in descending order. First I need to print 10, 9, 8 and so on. Okay, so now how we can write a looping statement. Descending order. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So where is the starting point? 10 is a starting point. So how much value we need to increment or decrement here? In every iteration, we need to decrease the value. So how much value we need to decrease in every iteration? -1. And where we need to stop? Let's say I started from 10. So now I value -1, I value becomes 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Finally, I value become 1. So when we need to stop here? What is the condition? So when I say I less than or equal to 1, is it valid condition or not? When I say this condition I less than or equal, still it will decrement, right? After 1, 0, -1, -2 also there, right? So if I put this condition, it will verify these things also. So this is not the right condition. So how we can put the condition now? I greater than or equal to 1 or I greater than 0. So you can put one of the conditions so that all these numbers are greater than or equal to 1 or not. Yes. Whenever I value becomes 0, then the condition becomes false. Whenever I value, because it will keep decrement like this. It will go to negative numbers also. So when we need to stop, as soon as I value becomes 0 or I less than or greater than or equal to 1, then it will true. And whenever I value becomes 0, 0 less than greater than or equal to 1 is false. So whenever this condition falls, then loop will be exited. So this is how we can use while loop for decrementing the values. Okay, so let us write the code. So starting point is what? 10. So I'll say let I number 10. Starting point is number 10. Now I'm starting a loop while. So what is the condition? I greater than or equal to 1 or I greater than 0 also correct. And when I say I greater than or equal to 0, 0 also will be printed, but I don't want to print 0. Till 1 I want to print. So I greater than or equal to 1. Now I say console.log of I. Now how much value we need to decrease? By 1. So how we can specify the expression now? I minus minus. I minus minus. Okay. Now So initially 10, condition is true, it will print 10. Now it will decrease the value. Now I value becomes 9. Again it will go up, 9 greater than or equal to 1, true. Again it will print 9 here. Again I becomes 8. So in every iteration I value becomes minus 1. It will try to reduce by 1. So as soon as I value becomes 0, then condition becomes false, then it will exit from the while loop. So when I execute it, it is just printed 1 to 6 to 1. So in descending order, it is got printed. Okay. So this is how we can use a simple while. Now let me write a simple while and you guys can tell me what will happen. So here I'm just writing a while loop. Here we need to put some condition. So what is the condition means? Condition is always written either true or false. A Boolean value will be returned. Can I write Boolean value directly like this? So instead of writing the condition, I can write Boolean value directly, right? So because obviously the condition will return a Boolean value. So I say true. Inside this while loop, I'm simply writing console.log. Let's say 1. Inside this while loop, I will simply write console.log of 1. So now here I'm not specifying the initial value and condition is true. And also I'm not specifying any incrementation or decrementation. So then what will happen? When I execute this loop, then what will happen? Obviously it will go to infinite loop. Every time it will print 1. Every time it will print 1. Right? Because every time condition is true, print 1. Again it will go up. Condition is true. Again it will become 1. So whenever you write a looping statements, make sure that should not go to infinite loop. Accordingly, you need to put the right condition. So until unless the condition become false, that loop will not be exited. So you need to exit this forcefully. So for example, let me run this code and see. It is keep printing 1. It will never stop. We need to say Control C forcefully, then it will stop. Otherwise, keep printing same value multiple times. So this is called infinite loop. So when it will go to infinite loop, if the condition never become false, then it will go to infinite loop. So when the condition never become false, then it will go to infinite loop. Okay, so whenever you use looping statements, carefully, we need to make sure the condition should become false at certain point of time. Okay, so this is all about while loop. So with this, we can practice so many examples, guys. So we can solve any number of problems using while loop. So later I will give you some assignments on this. You guys can practice, and based logic based program also we can practice using while loop. We can solve n number of problems. Okay, right. So this is the way we can use a while loop. And next one, do while loop. So we will have a do while loop. So how we can use a do while loop? So let's go and create another file. I'm just closing this. Do while loop. Create a new file and I'll name it as do while loop.ts. Okay. So let us understand how exactly do while loop works, and then I will compare while and do while loop. Okay. So in the do while loop, first of all, how we can write the syntax. What is a do while loop? A do while loop always executes at least once before checking the condition. This is a major difference actually. In the while loop, first it will check the condition, then only the statements will be executed. But in the do while loop, first statements will execute and then condition will be verified. That is a big difference between while loop and do while loop. So let us see the syntax of the do while loop, how we can use a do while loop. Syntax. First, let us start with the do, open brackets, and here we'll say while condition. So semicolon. So here we need to put the statements. Statements, incrementation, decrementation, everything should be part of the block. So from here to here, this is a block and immediately followed by while and condition. So this is a syntax of do loop. So first we'll execute the statements and then verify the condition. If the condition is true, again it will go and execute the statements and again check the condition. So the statements will be executed at least once before checking the condition. But in the while loop, first check the condition, then only statements will be executed. There is no possibility of executing the statement without checking the condition in while loop. But here there is a possibility of executing the statements at least once before checking the condition. This is syntax of do while. So let's see some examples. After that, I'll show you some comparisons between while and do while loop. Same whatever we have tried with the while loop, same thing we can repeat with the do while loop. So I'll show you just 1 or 2 examples you can understand. Again, let's print 1 to 5 numbers using do while loop. So first we need to initialize the value. So where is the starting point? 1. So I can say let I is a number and starting point is 1. Now let us write a loop. Do and here while the condition. So what is the condition? I want to print just 1 to 5 numbers. What is the condition? I less than or equal to 5 is the condition. Now inside this, I'm writing the statements. I say console.log of I. After that, I'll increment I value by 1. This is simple loop I have written. Okay, so now let's execute this. Day 6 do while loop.ts. Now it is printed 1 to 5. Perfectly fine. Okay, now just observe carefully. I just make this number as 10. Now tell me what is an output of this code? What is an output of this code? Can you guess? First of all, will it execute the code or not inside the block? Console.log I++ will be executed or not? Because I value 10 less than or equal to 5, condition false, right? It will never match the condition. But in that case, will execute this code or not? Yes, still it will execute. Once it will execute. Because before starting execution here, in the beginning, we don't have any condition. So it will directly enter into the block. So it will print 10 directly. After that, it will increment by I. So it will become 11. So then check the condition. It will false. Now if we execute it, it will just print only 10. So this is a major difference. In the while loop, without checking, it will not enter into the block. But in the do while loop, first at least once it will execute the block and then it will verify the condition. So we got the 10 here. So that is a major difference between while and do while loop. So now this will print while just from 1 to 5, incremented order. Now how we can print the same numbers in the descending order? Let's say example 2. Descending order. Let's say I want to print 10 to 1, 10, 9, 8, like this. Descending order. Same loop. This time I want to just print in the descending order. So now what is the starting point? Starting point is what? 10. 10 is a starting point. So we'll print the I value 10 and I minus minus. Every time we decrease the value by 1. Now what is the condition? Condition should be I values always should be greater than or equal to 1. So I greater than or equal to 1 is a condition. So we can decrement the values like this. So 10 to 1 in descending order, we got the numbers. Okay, so same thing, whatever we have achieved with the while loop, same thing we can also achieve with the do while loop. Same examples we can also still practice with the do while loop. But the major difference is in the while loop, first it will check the condition, then only the block of statements will be executed. But in the do while loop, first statements will be executed and then only the condition will be verified. Okay, this is the major difference between while and do while loop. Okay, so most of the times we prefer to use for loop. That is another looping statement which we have called for loop. So now let us see how we can work with the for loop. So far 2 loops we have completed, while loop and do while loop. So now let us move on to the for loop. So take another new file, for loop.ts. Okay, so for loop is little bit different than first through two loops, while loop and do while loop. And when we need to prefer to use for loop, the for loop majorly reduce a lot of code. Okay, suppose if you want to write while loop or do while loop, at least how many minimum number of statements we need to write? Three statements. Initialization, must and should. That is one statement. And condition we have to specify in another statement. Incrementation or decrementation we have to specify in another statement. At least three statements we must require to write either while loop or do while loop. Three statements must be required. Right? Suppose in your programming you have written almost 100 or 200 lines. And in those 100 lines you have written while loop, different purposes. You have written while loop or 5 times or 6 times. Then how many statements you will write? Let's say you have used 5 different places while loop, 5 into 3 at least, 15 statements you have written. So the code length will be increased. But in the while for loop, we can include all three in one single statement. Starting point, which is initialization, condition or increment or decrementation, we can keep in one single statement. So instead of writing three statements, we can simply put in one single statement using for loop. So that is a major advantage. So let us see how we can use for loop along with the syntax. So the for loop is typically used when the number of iterations is known beforehand. But when I use for loop, you need to know how many number of times you want to increase or how many number of times you want to decrease. So if you know that information, we can directly go with the for loop. Okay, so let's see the syntax first. What is the syntax of for loop? Syntax. So as I said, for loop is one single statement. We can include initialization, condition, or incrementation or decrementation, right? So for is a keyword in the bracket. Actually, this is the block. Okay. So in the bracket, we put three things. First, initialization. Starting point we need to specify. That's called initialization. Semicolon. Second point is condition. Again, semicolon. In the third section, we need to specify either incrementation or decrementation. And here, rest of the statements, whatever statements you want to repeat, you can keep inside the block. So this is a syntax of the for loop. Initialization, condition, or incrementation or decrementation. Okay. So let us see how exactly this loop works. So we need to understand the workflow. That is most important. So let us see how exactly it will execute. Initialization, condition, incrementation, or decrementation. First, it will start from the initialization. Here it will start. Once initialization is done, then it will verify the condition. If the condition is true, then it will directly execute the block of statements. And after execution of all the statements, then the third section will be executed. So first, second, third, and fourth. This is the workflow. So first, initialization will be executed only once. Initialization will execute only once. Then condition will be verified. If the condition is true, then statements will execute. And after that, incrementation will happen. After incrementation or decrementation, again it will verify the condition. And again, if it is a true, then statements will execute. Again, it will go incrementation. Then condition, statements. Again, incrementation, condition, statements. So condition, statement, incrementation will repeat multiple times till the condition become false. So initialization will execute only once, then condition, statements, and incrementation. Again, condition, statements, incrementation. Again, condition, statements, incrementation. At certain point of time, the condition become false, then for loop will be exited. Okay, this is the workflow. How exactly the for loop works. So initialization will execute only once, but condition, statement, incrementation will repeat multiple times. So we'll see some examples for loop. And same examples we can repeat for loop also. So example 1. First, let's print 1 to 10 numbers using for loop. So to print 1 to 10 numbers using for loop, just a single for loop is enough. We no need to define any variables or nothing. So for and the block, and here starting point is what? We will define the variable, right? So that variable also we can directly declare inside the for loop. So let I, and if you want to specify the data type, you can specify that, or else you can directly specify that. Right? So if you want to specify the data type, you can specify it, or you can directly specify it. Okay. So let I equal to 1. I, what is the condition? I less than or equal to 10, and then I plus plus. I equal to 1, I less than or equal to 10, I plus plus. So this is a starting point, condition, semicolon, incrementation. All three things are covered. Now what else we need to write in the for loop? Just one print statement as a console.log of I. That's it. Because incrementation we don't need to write here. Why? Because after executing the statement, obviously it will go to incrementation here. Right? After executing the statement, obviously it will go to incrementation. So we don't need to write this inside the block. So now let's execute and see. So this is a for loop. Simply say for loop.yes. Yes, 1 to 10 numbers are printed. So starting point, condition, and incrementation. So first I value 1, condition is true, then I value printed by 1. Then I value becomes 2, again 2 less than or equal to 10, condition true. Now again I value printed by 2. So like this, it will keep incrementing by 1. As soon as the condition becomes false, then for loop will be exited. This is an example. Let's see one more example using for loop. So just I want to print only even numbers. Then example 2, print even numbers between 1 to 10. Print only even numbers between 1 to, again we can write two different methods, two logics. Without by using percentile, and without using percentile also we can write. So first we'll see the first method without using percentile. Method 1, print only even numbers between 1 to 10. Okay, so now you guys can tell me how to put the condition initialization point. What is the starting point? Let I equal to 1, starting from 1, and condition I less than or equal to 10. Okay, so let's print the value here. I say console.log of I. Now, how much value we need to increment every time? If I want to print only even numbers I want to print. Even numbers I want to print. What's the starting point in that case? 2 is a starting even number. So I can start with 2. Now, how much value we want to increment? By 2. So how we can write the expression now? I plus equal to 2. Is it correct? I plus equal to, can I put the expression like this? Yes, because this is also incrementation, right? Just like I plus plus, I minus minus, I plus equal to, I value will be incremented by 2. I value will be incremented by 2. Similarly, if I want to make 5 here, then I value will be incremented by 5 every time in every iteration. So I can change the value if you want. See, in the block, I can just specify only one single statement. Only one single statement. So this will print only even numbers between 1 to 10. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay. And another method, suppose if you want to use percentile, then you need to also add a conditional statement inside the for loop. Another method. So we'll start from 1 itself, I less than 10, I plus plus. I'll increment I value by 1. But before printing this I value, so when I print this code, it will obviously print 1 to 10 numbers. Now, before printing this I value, I want to verify this is even or not. If it is even, then I will print. Otherwise, I don't want to print. Okay, now how we can put the condition now inside the block? Simple. If I percentile 2 equal to 0, and then write another block. So console.log should be part of if condition. So now what will happen? Even though I value 1, 3, or 7, 9. But still, whenever I value divided by 2 returns 0, then only the condition becomes true, and then only it will print I value. So if it is non-zero, it won't print. It will skip that number. Then again incrementation will happen. It will get another number. In every iteration, it will get the number divided by 2. And if it is 0, then it will print. If it is not 0, it won't print. So this is another method. So 2 to 10, we are able to print only even numbers. Similarly, you can also apply only for odd numbers also. If I just change IL equal to not equal to 0. If you just change the condition not equal to 0, it will just print the odd numbers. Same thing, you can try. Okay, now suppose if you want to print the numbers in descending order, print the numbers in the descending order. So then how we can do? Using for loop. So 1 to 10 I want to print. This example 2, example 3. Directly you can write a for loop for, yeah, now what is the starting point? Let I equal to 10. 10 is a starting point. Now what is the condition? 10 to 1. I greater than or equal to 1. And how much value we need to decrease every time? By 1. So I minus minus. Now simply inside this, I say console.log of I. That's it. So this will print 10 to 1 in descending order. Okay, this is how we can use looping statement. Okay, now you tell me one more important thing. I'll ask you something here. Suppose for can we put the semicolon for the for loop or not? Can we put the semicolon like this? In the while and do while, we should not. In the do while, we need to put semicolon after while. But when you put the semicolon for loop like this, we can also put the semicolon, but the behavior will be different. Okay. So sometimes you can see that kind of syntax also. I'll show you that. Suppose if you put the semicolon for the for loop, then what will happen? So you guys can tell me the output. I'm writing simple code here. For let I equal to 1, I less than or equal to 5, then I plus plus, and I'm not writing any block. Simple, I'm not writing any block. Okay, so let me write a block first. I say console.log of I. So what is an output of this code? Obviously, it will just print 1 to 5 numbers. It will just print 1 to 5 numbers. Perfectly fine. Now what I'll do is, I will just declare the variable and also assign here itself, inside the loop itself. Right? So instead of that, I will define the variable here. Let I, which is a number, and I'm not assigning any value. Can you do like this? Is it correct or not? Is this correct syntax or not? Actually, it is not giving any error. But can we redeclare the variable like this? Here I have declared a variable. Here I have declared the variable. Can we redeclare the variable actually? See, if I redeclare the variable again here, then what happens? TypeScript is giving a compile time error. TypeScript is given a compile time error, right? But here I have done the same thing, right? Here I have declared the one variable, and inside the for loop also I have declared another variable. Do you have any difference between this I and this I? The I we defined before the for loop, the I we have defined inside the for loop. Do we have any difference? Yes, we have a difference actually. Even you can define the number here. There is no problem. I can say number. No problem. But what I'm asking, is there any difference between this one and this one? I have redeclared, but it is not giving any error. But this is also redeclaration, right? But here it is giving an error. But why it is not giving an error when you specify the same variable, same declaration inside the for loop? That's why my question. Yes. So here, this I is a global variable, which is not part of any block. But Here the I we specified, this is belongs to only for loop. So this particular I we can access only within the for loop. So the scope of this I is a global, whereas the scope of this I internal for loop I is local. Inside the for loop block we can access. Oh, that is a major difference. Okay. Now suppose if I don't have, I'm not redeclaring the variable, just I'm assigning the value into the variable. Now you tell me, this I is a global or local? This I, whatever is specified inside the for loop, is local or global? Local or global? It is a global. It is a global. Why? Because I have not redeclared. If I redeclared, then it becomes a local. If I don't specify the redeclaration, I already declare the variable. I'm just reusing the variable. Here I'm doing assignment. You got my point? Here I declare the variable. Here I'm just doing the assignment. I'm just assigning the value. That's it. But if you use this let keyword, then it is become another variable. It is not a global. It is a local variable. Okay. So that is a major difference. If I don't put let, then which variable we are accessing here? Global variable we are accessing. If I use let, then we created the separate variable, separate local variable, which is accessing within the for loop itself. Okay. Now I'm written code like this. Let I number is a global variable. I'm accessing here and I'm doing assignment. And then I remove this part. Okay. Okay. So let it be there. So what is an output you're expecting here? Again, it is the same. There is no difference. So 1 to 5 we are getting. No problem. You can put the declaration, initialization here we have done. If we declare this variable directly here also, not a problem. Okay. Now you tell me, I write console.log of I here. Console.log of I. Now what is an output here you will get? I have written this console.log of I outside of this for loop. Outside of the for. 1 to 6. Why it is 1 to 6? 6 is actually printed by this particular statement. And 1 to 5 is got printed by this statement actually. So if I don't write this, obviously 1 to 5 is got printed by for loop. Okay, that we already know. But when I print the console.log of I outside of the for loop, it is got printed 6. Why it becomes 6? Because it is here, it is got printed 1 to 5, right? 1 to 5 it is got printed. After printing 1 to 5, here I value becomes 6, right? As soon as I value becomes 6, condition becomes false. Then it will exit from the for loop. Whenever it is exit from the for loop, what is the latest value of I? When I exit from the for loop, what is the latest value of I? 6. So that is got printed. So here it is got printed 6. You understood the logic? This is very important. Okay. So we created a global variable. Same variable we are accessing inside the for loop. Incremented 1 to 5 is got successfully printed. Now the ultimate, after exiting the for loop also, we are getting I value is 6. Okay, perfectly fine. Now I'll make this as a let. Now you tell me output. See, here it is started giving an error. Why it started giving an error here? Because this let we are able to print 1 to 5 it will print, but after coming out from the for loop, this I is what actually this is the one. So without having any value, are you assigning any value into this I? Do we have any value into this? There is no value. So here it is giving an error. Variable I is used before being assigned. Means we are not assigning any data into this. So it is giving a compilation error. So now you understand the difference between the global variable and the local variable of the for loop. Okay. Everybody's understood this point. Very important. Okay. Right. So this is a one scenario. This is a global variable. Now here when I say let, this becomes a local variable. If I remove the let, becomes again global variable. Okay. So try to let the remove. So now you will get the 6 as an output. Okay, this is fine. Now you tell me this output of this code. I'm just writing the for loop directly, and also define the variable. Let I, which is a number, global variable. I'm assigning, I'm getting the I itself here. I equal to 1 starting from 1. I less than or equal to 5. And then I plus plus. This time I put semicolon is. Okay. I don't put this bracket. Console.log of I. Can you tell me output of this? First of all, can you write a for loop like this? Yes, we can write it. I put the semicolon here. So as soon as I put the semicolon, that is end. There is no block for the for loop actually. So now tell me the output of this piece of code. Just 3 lines. What it will print? It will print 1, or it will print 1 to 5, or it will not print anything. Printed 6. Just one value is got printed. Just printed 6. Okay, let us understand how it is got printed. How exactly this for loop is exited. So as I said, first it will start with initialization, right? I equal to 1, true. Condition is true. When the condition is true, what it should execute actually, it should execute block of statements, right? But we have not specified any block. Then what happens? It will directly jump to the third block. It will increment the value. So initial I value 1, condition is true, I value will be incremented by 1. And now I value becomes 2. Again, 2 less than or equal to 5, true. Incremented again 1, becomes 3. 3 less than or equal to 5, again true. Now I plus plus, become 4. Again 4 less than or equal to 5, true. Again incremented, become 5. 5 less than or equal to 5, true. Again incremented by 6. Now after I value becomes 6, then the for loop is got exited. When I print I value here, return 6. Because within the loop, after execution of entire loop, I value becomes 6. That's the reason we got 6 here. You understood, everyone? So this is how for loop works if you put the semicolon at the end. Okay, now you tell me, I say let. Now you tell me the output of this. It's giving compile time error. Why? Because now it becomes a local variable of for loop. But we are accessing the global variable. The global variable, we have not assigned any value. So it is giving simply unassigned, being assigned. I is used before being assigned. Before assigning, we are trying to access. Compile time error. Okay. So, but if you remove this let, we are accessing the global variable. So global variable value is already changed here. We are accessing the changed value here. Okay. So we can also keep the semicolon for the for loop. So these are all examples. You can just practice in multiple ways. Okay. So this is all about for loop. So far we understood while loop, do while loop, and then for loop. Clear, everyone, so far, everyone? So we have 2 more statements, break and continue. They are called jumping statements. Most of the times we use those keywords along with the looping statements. So we will try to understand them and then we will conclude. So close this, and so we'll see the jumping statements, how we can use jumping statement. We have only 2 statements, break and continue. So in the last class, we have seen break along with the switch case. So we can also use break along with the looping statements. And also we have a continue. So let us see how we can use break and continue along with the looping statements. What is an impact of continue and break? Create another example. Break and continue.ts. Okay, so first let us start with the break, how we can use break, and then we'll start with the continue. So I'll write a looping statement here by using break also. So you guys can tell me what is the output of the code. I'm writing a for loop. Inside the for, I'm defining a variable. Let I equal to 1, I less than or equal to 10, I plus plus. And inside the for loop, I'm just writing console.log of I. What is an output of this code? Simply it will print 1 to 10 numbers.
It will just print 1 to 10 numbers, right? Let me just run this once again. Break and continue.ts. So 1 to 10 numbers. Okay, my requirement is I don't want to change the condition. It remains the same. But whenever I value become 5, I want to exit from the for loop. I want to exit from the for loop whenever I value become 5. But I don't want to change this condition. I don't want to change the looping condition. If I just put here 5, it will just print only 5 and it will exit obviously, right? But I just put till 10 here. But still, I want to exit from the for loop whenever I value become 5. So then how it is possible? So intentionally, I want to break the for loop based on certain condition. Even though the for loop condition is true, I don't care about it. It still remains the same, but still I want to break the for loop based on certain condition. What is the condition here? Whenever I value become 5, then I want to exit from the for loop. Simply you can use one if condition. If I value equal to 5. Okay, whenever I value becomes 5, then break it. Simple. Break. So whenever I value become 5, then what will happen? If the condition is true, break will execute. What the break will do? It will exit from entire block. Looping. So from here to here, this is for loop. So whenever you use break command, that will exit from entire code. So it will stop repeating the rest of the numbers. That's the reason we call it as a jumping statement. As soon as I value become 5, the break command will jump out from the for loop itself. So when I execute this again, just print only 1 to 4. Even 5 is also not printed. Why? Because as soon as I value become 5, we executed break itself. As soon as we executed 5, as soon as I value become 5, immediately we executed break. So even 5 also we have not printed. Okay. Suppose if you put this before this if condition, then what is an output? Simply it will print 5 also. Nothing. 5 also it will print. 1 to 5. Then it is exited. As soon as, because 5 is also printed, as soon as I value become 5, break is executed. That's the only difference. Nothing. Okay. So break command we can use like this. So when to use break command, if you still want to break the loop intentionally based on certain condition, you can put that inside the looping statement. This is an example. So whenever I value become 5, it will automatically exit or break the loop. So continue is exactly opposite of this. Continue. Continue means it will just skip the number. Skip the current iteration. Let's see. Continue. Same looping statement. Exact same code. Instead of just break, I say continue. Now tell me the output. Instead of just break, I just replace with the continue. So when I execute this code, it will just print 1 to 10 numbers, but only 5 is got skipped. It will just skip the number. So you don't see 5 here. So what exactly happening here? It is printed 1, 2, 3, 4. And whenever I value become 5, what continue will do? Continue will go here and increment the number. It means the current iteration will be skipped. So whenever I value become 5, I'm saying continue. Means go to the next number. So it will go here and incremented and I value become 6. So whenever I value becomes 6 and keep checking the condition and 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 is got printed. So this condition will match only when I becomes 5. In all other cases, the condition becomes false. So it will print all the numbers except 5. Okay. Suppose I want to skip 3, 5 and 7. 3 values I want to skip. Then how we can write the condition? 3, 5 and 7 I want to skip. Odd numbers. 3, 5, 7 I want to skip. How we can write the condition now? Which operator we have to use? AND or OR? AND or which operator we have to use? Okay, let me tell you. So I equal to 3 and I equal to 5 and I equal to 7. Okay, let's Do like this. I equal to 3 and I equal to 5 and I equal to 7. And multiple AND conditions I put here. I equal to 3, 5 and I equal to 7. Is it correct? This comparison appears to be unintentional. Okay, we will see that error. It is giving compilation error actually. Can we put like this? Is it correct first of all? So forget about compile time error. So logically it is correct or not? Logically, is it correct or not? It is not correct. Why? Because we are using AND operator, right? AND means what? Every expression should return true, then only the final if condition becomes true. So first expression should be true, second should be true, third also should be true. Then only the whole condition becomes true, then continue will execute. But is there any possibility to become all three conditions becomes true? No, because I value might be 3 at a time. It cannot become 5 at a time, right? At the same time, I value cannot be 3 and 5. I value cannot be become 5 and 7 at the same time. At a time, I value become either 3 or 5 or 7. But at a time, I value cannot be 3, 5 and 7. So this is illogical. So how we can specify that now? Using OR. OR operator we can use like this. Now it is correct. Okay. So now how it will execute now? What is an output you are getting now? Whenever I value become 3, it will skip it. Or anywhere, whenever I value become 5 also, it will skip. 7 also, it will skip. So other than 3, 5, 7, we will get a rest of the values. See, 1, 2, 3 got skipped. 4, 5 got skipped. 6, 7 got skipped. 8, 9, 10 we got. So understood the logic, why we should not specify AND, why we should specify OR. Okay. This is called continue. Continue is also jumping statement because we are jumping into the next iteration. We are skipping the current value and jumping to the next iteration. So that is the major difference between break and continue. Okay, so most of the times we use break and continue along with looping statements. So when to go for break? Whenever you want to exit the for loop or terminate the loop based on certain condition, you can go with break. Or whenever you want to skip some values in the series, then you can go with the continue statement. Okay. So I percentile equal to I percentile 2 not equal to 0. Can we use this condition? Yes, you can use that also. Yes. Okay. So this is how we can understand looping statements. While, do while, for loop. Okay. Now, so when to use looping statements, how to print prime. There are logical based programs you guys can practice later. I will give list of programs. Okay. If you start discussing each and every program, for every loop, we can write hundreds of programs. Okay. So that is not intention here. We need to just understand how we can use the looping statements. And you guys can practice your own, the logic based programs. I will give some list of programs along with some solutions and you guys can practice your own. Okay. But you need to first, at the beginning, you need to understand the syntax, how we can use looping, how it is going to execute. Okay. So based on today's class, I provide some notes here. You can just go through these notes. So while loop, examples, syntaxes, and everything. Just go through the notes. And then, so while loop, when we want to use while loop, whenever you want to check the condition before execution. Before execution, if you want to check the condition, go with while loop. Okay, and when to go for do while loop? If you want to execute the statement at least once before checking the condition, then go for do while loop. And if you already know starting point, condition, and ending point, everything, directly go for loop. You don't need to go for while and do while. So break command will stop the loop early. That means based on the condition. And continue will skip the iteration and proceed to the next one. So these are the things we have discussed. Now come to the lab assignments. So here I have given some assignments based on the while loop, do while loop, and for loop. Around 22 programs I have given. So for all these 22 programs, I will also give the solutions. But this is your own responsibility to practice. Okay, for discussing each and every program is not possible because this is not purely programming sessions. Okay, we are learning programming with respect to for automation purpose. Okay, we need to just learn some basics for automation. So just practice these programs. These are all based on complete logic. And if you know how to work with the looping statement, then you can build the logic on top of it. So this is your own responsibility to practice all logical based programs. So I can just provide required material and you guys can practice it. So these are 22 programs based on only looping statements. I will give along with the solutions and you guys continue to practice this. Very important. Okay. Then you will be familiar with the looping statements. Okay. And whatever assignments I'm giving, so you have to work on them. So we don't discuss assignments in our class, regular class. So in regular class, we will discuss only the concepts and I'll give certain demos. But assignments, whatever I'm giving here, so you guys, you have to practice your own. This is for your own sake, I'm just giving. Okay. So that's it for today's session. And tomorrow we'll continue the rest of the concepts. So far, we have completed the programming fundamentals. In every programming, the concepts are there, like variables, data types, operators, conditional statement, looping statements, everything is there. So in the next classes, we will discuss more on arrays, strings, functions, and there are many more concepts are there. So we will discuss them. And so far, whatever we completed on those topics only, I have given these assignments and quiz. So don't go beyond that. Okay. If you are not discussed some of the topics, if you find those questions and quizzes in your document, so just leave them for now. So once you discuss the topic, you can attempt those questions. Okay. Focus only on the topics what we are discussing currently. So we'll cover all the topics in the coming sessions. All right. So for loop is having a different flavors. As I said, enhanced for loop for each loop. Again, we can use a different operator. Different separate special operators which we can use in for loop, so that we will use most of the times with along with the collections, especially arrays, tuple. There are multiple things are there. So in that case, we will use another type of for loop that I will discuss there. Okay. This is just a classic for loop, so regular syntax. All right. So we'll stop here for today's session and we'll continue on the next session.